Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, a car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, and here we are. College football clarity and the rock pile. Rocky Corigliano, my man, is with me. And I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the known universe. We have quite a bit to talk about. As predicted, championship weekend did not go quite as planned for a lot of teams. And we have the playoff set. Some people are happy. Some people are outraged. But it is definitely going to be entertaining to see. And I am very excited for this group. I think they got it probably as right as they could have gotten it, but we'll talk about that. I wanted to just start with a couple of the games. The first one, Texas Tech, BYU. Anything surprise you there?
Well, Texas, I haven't seen a lot of Texas Tech all year. I think the one thing that surprised me was that defensively, they are really good defensively. That front four can get after the quarterback. Those two linebackers that they have can run sideline to sideline. They can play a fast style of game. They can play a slow style. The outcome I wasn't surprised at. I think one of the things that I was surprised at the end of the day when I looked, BYU's had 2 losses all year, and they're to Texas Tech. So they had such an argument at the end of the day, and I know we'll get into the playoffs and the teams that got in and some teams that got left out. But to say you lost to your 2 losses are to Texas Tech, who ended up 4th in the playoff rankings, was unbelievable. I love Kalasatani, the coach for BYU. I think he made the right choice to stay put and stay home. But Texas Tech's really good. They could beat anybody.
Yeah, I liked his loyalty as well. And I'm like you, I have not seen a lot of Texas Tech. That was the first time I really got a chance to watch them. And they were impressive. And they were well deserving of their ranking. The game most people talk about the SEC championship, Georgia, Alabama. Georgia drops the hammer on Alabama, and I was blown away. But Kalen DeBeer has been inconsistent, and I don't know that he's well loved at Alabama. But Kirby Smart, man, they came out. Gunnar Stockton, they had such a great game plan. They just looked like a more physical team, and they looked like the better team by quite a bit. And that was the game that kind of surprised me the most, I would say, out of the championships. What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, first, Alabama hasn't played well the last 3 or 4 weeks. I
No,
don't know what's
no,
happened
no.
to Ty Simpson. I mean, Alabama right now, they simply can't run the football, at all,
Nope.
and I think that's gonna hurt them into the playoffs here. But, one of the things I've been impressed with the most is with Georgia is I think this is the best coaching job that Kirby Smart's done since he's been at Georgia. It's a young team. We all know Kirby's known for defense. I think that defense has gotten a lot better as the seasons went on. I think Gunnar Stockton's got a lot better in some of these big games. But when you go back to Alabama and you look at Kalen DeBoer's tenure, I mean, now you have a 3-loss team. Kirby Smart was like 0-8 or some crazy stat against
Yeah,
Alabama, even going back to the Nick
that was his
Saban.
kryptonite. Yes.
But
Yeah.
I don't know what's
It was
happened
his
with them,
kryptonite,
Steve.
Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. Ty Simpson just hasn't looked the same. I think probably because they haven't been able to run the football at all. They've been throwing the ball a lot, and as you know, if you're going to sit back and drop back 30, 40 times a game with no run game, Kirby Smart and any of these defenses are going to get after the quarterback, and that's what they did.
Yeah, you got to be able to protect the quarterback, and Ty Simpson was running literally for his life back there. It was crazy to see, and that's what Alabama's known for, their run game. Even with Nick Saban, I mean, he focused on establishing the run, and the pass game came second. Even when he had Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, so that was very surprising to see how they or their game plan going in. And then I know they got down, so they had to try to throw the ball, but it was bad. And then we'll talk about Alabama later. The big game was the Big Ten championship, and I was wow. I watched probably 2 Indiana games all year. I've seen a lot of Ohio State. Indiana came to play. Their running game, that running back they have, number 8, he runs angry. He is physical. He is tough. He gets through the line of scrimmage. I think they were saying he averages more yards after contact than anyone in the country. Mendoza, he just makes plays. He took the shot in the first quarter. I thought he was done. I thought he was going to be concussed. I thought that was it. And he came back in. They put his brother in for a play that made me laugh. But you mentioned Kurt Signetti. If he doesn't win Coach of the Year, something's wrong. He deserves Coach of the Year for what he's done the last 2 seasons at Indiana. First championship since 1965 or 67. It was unbelievable. Their defense was unbelievable. They had a great game plan to hold Ohio State to 10 points. And I know they missed the field goal, but still, that to me is the greatest accomplishment I've seen all year. Holding Ohio State with all that talent to 10 points, to shutting them down in the red zone like they did. They deserve the number 1 ranking, and I hope they make a run. I hope he gets his title. he just is a great coach. I'm so happy that he got his contract extension and he's going to stay. They were smart to lock him up. He is worth every penny, and I loved watching that game. It was nice. It was really nice to see a defensive struggle like that, and I was thoroughly impressed by Indiana since I haven't seen a lot of them. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me was, this was when you look back at the Michigan Ohio State game over the last 4 or 5 years, the team that always wins the line of scrimmage has won that game traditionally in the past, a team that's been able to run the football. Ohio State was held to 58 yards rushing. And the whole defining moment for me over that game, and I watched the entire game, is when Ohio State, yes, they missed the field goal. Steve, they had it 4th and 1. Okay.
Oh,
and
the QB sneak. Yes.
I said, you have the best O-line or the best team in the country. And they decided to kick the field goal on 4th and 1, and they missed the field goal.
Oh, at the end of
at the end of the game.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, in reality, not the same. Yeah, I agree. Because I was like, this game technically is meaningless. You're both going to be 1-2. I understand Indiana wanting to win the Big Ten championship, but you have nothing to lose by going for it on 4th and 1. I was surprised by that. I thought they were going to go for it. The fact that they didn't was very surprising, and then the kicker shanking it was really surprising. But I 100% agree with you there. So what are you doing? Go for it. You have nothing to lose. Go for it.
Yeah, and the other thing I probably would question, and again, those guys make a lot of money. I didn't like the game plan that Brian Hartline called offensively, and I know Ryan Day in the press conference, they said, "Hey, is the distractions with Brian Hartline going to South? Like, did it distract you? Did it play any factor into this game?"
Yeah.
And Ryan Day answered it like I thought. He said, "We're all part of the game plan." I thought they were really conservative. There were some packages they went 2 tight ends, and Cardell Tate had 4 catches. Jeremiah Smith was a stud. He had 8 catches, but Tate had 4 catches. In that game. And listen, credit Indiana. If you think about Kurt Signetti, and I think I heard it this past week, the stat was when he got the job at Indiana, he got on the mic at one of the basketball games and he says, Michigan sucks, Ohio State sucks, Michigan State sucks. He's 24-2 in 2 years. He's probably going to have the Heisman Trophy winner. They're the number 1 team in the college football playoff. What this guy's done at one of the worst football programs in the country is unreal. Whether he wins it all or not, Steve, the job he's done is unreal.
It's remarkable. And I 100% agree with you. I think he should be coach of the year. And, the situation he walked into when Tom Allen left were teams that had won, 1, 2, 3 games. They were awful. He comes in, immediately turns it around, and like you said, in 2 years, 2 losses, 2 years, 2 10-win seasons, which they hadn't had in like 40-something years, and they get the Big Ten title, which they hadn't had since 1965. I was blown away by him and the job they did. I do agree with Hartline and his game plan. It was very conservative, seemed very predictable. Especially, you kind of knew when they went under center, they were running the ball. They didn't really do much passing when they were under center. Out of the gun, they were very conservative with how they ran the ball. They tried to throw the ball downfield just with big plays, but again, it really seemed predictable. The one play was the double pass I think they did to try to get some momentum, but otherwise they looked very pedestrian. It's partly due to the size of the conferences and who the teams play. They're not always playing the best of the best, and that is a reflection. And I've read that Ohio State could turn it around now that they finally faced top-notch competition. I would say they had faced top-notch competition, playing Michigan. This shouldn't have been a surprise, but I didn't expect this. I didn't expect the 13-10 defensive battle for sure.
I didn't.
But credit to Kurt Signetti.
One of the things, Steve, I'd love to see the Big Ten do, and I don't think it'll happen, but when they used to have the Big Ten East and the Big Ten West, you could arguably say, like, Ohio State this year didn't play USC. They didn't play Oregon at all this year. Michigan, some of those other teams did. Indiana went to Oregon, who I think still is probably the best win in college football, is going to Oregon and beating the Ducks. But, this was really the first time I watched Indiana from start to finish. In the throw on third down late in the game that Mendoza made to Charlie Becker, the sophomore receiver. And Signetti said, listen, we weren't playing to lose. We were playing to win the game. What a big throw that was in clutch time.
Massive. And I was watching with a friend of mine debating what they were going to do. And I said, he's going to throw it. I said, this guy, he has nothing to lose. He's playing that way. He's playing to win the game. He knows that a first down here is going to win it. He's going to throw. He got the matchup he wanted. He got one-on-one coverage. He puts the ball on the money so his receiver can make a play. And that was the end of the game. I was so happy to see that. And they are just they're the feel-good story of the year. I think everyone's rooting for them, to be honest.
The only thing that scares me, I think we've seen the story before with last year when Ohio State loses to Michigan and everybody wants to fire Ryan Day. Vegas must see something because right now Ohio State's the betting favorite to win the whole thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run and they win this thing again. Absolutely. And those two teams, meet up. But I think there's 4 teams, in my eyes, I think they can win the whole thing.
So we got a little bit of a surprise. And I think it was due to the ACC championship game.
Yep.
The mighty Duke knocked off Virginia, which put a monkey wrench in the committee for the committee picking the teams. And they end up going with Tulane, which was, I believe, the highest ranked highest ranked conference champion. And then they bring in James Madison as well, because they still were one of the highest ranked champions as well. I'm fine with 2 group of 5 teams getting in. I think it makes things more interesting. James Madison playing Oregon is going to be interesting, but the ACC, the convoluted metrics for how Duke, Virginia, and Miami does not play for the championship. I still don't understand that. And I think that they, there was, I understand Manny Diaz and his argument for wanting to be in the playoffs, for what he was saying about the Sun Belt Conference and the scheduling, but there was no way they were going to make the playoffs.
No.
Miami clearly was the best team in the ACC. I don't know how they did not get in. I think it's based on the conference strength of schedule and record and winning percentage. It's so convoluted that I remember Pitt could have gotten in, but that is, again, I think what you said, going back to the 2 divisions would probably help. I know they got away from that, some of these conferences, and have just tried to do one big conference and take the best teams to avoid like certain matchups that they had gotten in the past. But I think this blew up in their face for the ACC. I mean, I think this made the ACC look horrible. I mean, did you think that? And what did you think of that game?
I would agree. I think in the past you would have taken the ACC champ and put him in the playoff. I felt really bad for Tony Elliott because Virginia at 10-2, they could have probably said, well, we made it to the conference championship, similar to at Alabama, who made it to the SEC championship game, lost, and still got in. But listen, credit Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz is a good football coach. Duke was ready to play. He's known for defense. But I really felt bad for Virginia. But one of the things I'll say is when the playoffs, the 12 teams came out, the first thing I said was, I really didn't have a problem, Steve, because if there was between Miami and Notre Dame, I think they really went with the head-to-head. I can see Notre Dame's argument to say, listen, Tulane and James Madison can't win a national championship. But you know what, Notre Dame? Get into a conference. Get into a conference. If they were in the ACC and they made it to the ACC title game,
they want the money.
They're in. But you know who I felt really bad for? I felt really bad for BYU, who got to the Big 12 title game, lost. They got penalized. Alabama got there and lost with 3 losses and didn't get in. I don't really know if I want to see Tulane. I get the Power Fours. The only thing I would probably change is they got to put some criteria for the Power Four for them to meet to get in. Tulane, we've already seen Tulane got destroyed to Ole Miss earlier in the year. Now Ole Miss going to be without Lane Kiffin. James Madison's going to get destroyed to Oregon. Maybe I'm wrong, but Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, I think you could have had a case for Vanderbilt winning 10 games in the SEC. They could have got in.
Yep.
So I think they all had cases, but I was
and they had been up there all year. Yeah, I was too. I mean, I was more against Alabama, I would say. I was kind of with you. I thought BYU probably should have gotten a shot, with their record. I get, Greg Sankey from the SEC wants 10 teams in the playoffs from his conference, or he wanted 7 teams this year. But, BYU, I thought, did enough to get in. And, they played Texas Tech, one of the top teams in the country. Yep. They've been all year. You can't penalize them that much for that. Notre Dame, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I loathe Notre Dame. I do think that they probably should have gotten in. But I agree with you. They are an independent because they love that money. They don't want to share that money with a conference. And when you're like that, and when you're living life as an independent, every game is your Super Bowl because it can knock you for a loop. And I know they didn't play. I know that they dropped 70 on Syracuse to try to send a message. And, it was the first time that Miami leapfrogged them because I believe the committee members went back and they watched the head-to-head game, and that made the difference to get Miami in. The team, I would argue, Alabama with 3 losses. If you're going to take a 3-loss team, I don't know that it would have been them. I think BYU earned its spot with having, I believe, 11 wins. I think they were 11-2. I would have given BYU a shot, and I do love their coach as well. But we have it set finally, and it's going to be very interesting. We just talked about James Madison and Oregon. James Madison comes in as the 12th seed. Oregon is the 5th. I see Oregon just running away with this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think there's 4 teams right now. I think that can win the whole thing. And unfortunately, for people that don't like the Big Ten, won't like what I have to say. But obviously, you go with the 2, Ohio State and Indiana. I think what nobody's really talking about, Steve, to me, is Oregon's really good. Oregon is really good. I think with Dan Lanning, I don't think you want to see Oregon right now. And I think their path, they'll get by JMU. But their path to get there, I don't think it's hard. The winner would get Texas Tech. I think they match up really well with Texas Tech.
Yes.
And I would say Georgia. Like, to me, those would be the 4 teams I think can win the whole thing. Unless somebody gets hot, like March Madness, right? If a team gets hot, They can go on a run. I can see some of these other teams making a run, but man, I'll tell you, it's going to be really tough. It's going to take a really good team to beat Indiana of how physical they are on both fronts, on the O-line, defensive line. The quarterback's playing really well. But man, are they America's team right now or what? Everybody's on the bandwagon.
I think they are. I think they've earned it. I think people love the story of Kurt Cignetti coming from JMU. 2 years, he's transformed the program, taken it to heights that it's never been to. Absolutely, they are. And I think Alabama, Oklahoma, that's a toss up to me right now. If Alabama is going to play, how they have been, they're not going to win this game. If Ty Simpson and if they come up with a better game plan, if they're more balanced, if they get the running game going, I think they can beat Oklahoma. But I still think, regardless, Indiana is going to beat whoever wins this game. I think they're too hot.
I think you're right. I mean, we saw the Oklahoma-Bama game once during the year. Before John Mateer got hurt, the quarterback for Oklahoma, I mean, you take that defense with Brent Venables. I mean, that defense is as good as any defense in the country. So if they can find a way to move the ball and score, I think they beat Alabama. I think Oklahoma's playing better. I don't think Alabama's playing really well right now. The last 3-4 weeks, they just have not looked good unless they can figure it out. I think they're going to struggle with Oklahoma's defense. We've already seen the Tulane Ole Miss game during the year. It was 44-10, and I'm still having a hard time with John Summerall, the coach who got the head job at Florida, is going to be able to coach this game. Chesney, who just had the press conference at UCLA, is going back to coach this game. Brian Hartline, who's the new South Florida coach, is coming back to coach this game. I just think it's a lot of distractions for a lot of those teams.
And half the Ole Miss staff is coming back. A lot of the offensive staff got permission to come back.
And hats off to Lane Kiffin, right, for sending him saying, hey, go back and go win a national champion. I think that was a good move by Lane. That'll keep the media quiet for a little bit on him for hating on him. But I think some of these games will be good. The one game and the one team, Steve, I don't think anybody wants to see. I think it's Miami. And I'm not a Miami guy.
No, I know.
I don't know why. I think they're really good up front. I think they're physical. I think Carson Beck's played in big games for Miami, but we'll see. They're going to go as far as he takes them.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M is going to make quick work of them. To be honest, Texas A&M, when they're hot, I know they lost to Texas, but Texas A&M all year, I would take them over Miami. As far as Ole Miss, what were your thoughts on Lane Kiffin and the will he, won't he go to LSU? And when he did finally pull the trigger and make the decision, I think he had made the decision weeks ago and was posturing and, because it probably didn't want to make a distraction for the team. And he goes to LSU and, he's taking a good amount of the staff. I'm glad that I had this discussion with somebody else. I don't know that naming the defensive coordinator, the head coach, was the right move. I know they want to keep continuity. I know they don't want people entering the portal, but I kind of thought it was just rushed, impulsive. I don't know if it was the best move. What were your thoughts on that? Golding, is that his name?
Yeah, Pete Golden. I don't think it was a good move at all. We talked a little bit about it, you and I, last week when, the thing with Lane Kiffin, like, I get it. I get the move. The timing was wrong. The NCAA with these NILs and all this timing with everything right now, I think is bad. They need to fix that. He's going to a place that has more money, more resources, more NIL. Yeah. They can go get the best players in the country. He's got an opportunity to win every year.
The state.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, granted, I get that people are going to say, well, he was winning at Ole Miss. Ole Miss was nothing without Lane Kiffin.
Very hard to do. Yes.
Lane
Yes.
Kiffin, what he
Nobody
accomplished at Ole
wanted to
Miss,
go there.
nobody's done. It was the best football in the history of that program, and I get a lot of people were upset that he left. And you hear all these things on Pete Golden on the media saying, "Well, I'm not going to go to yoga. I'm not going to do this." It's kind of like he's taking jabs at Lane Kiffin, and I really want to say, listen, Pete, I'm going to tell you one thing: you are nothing without Lane Kiffin, who brought you there. And by the way, next year when LSU comes to Ole Miss to play you, look out. But I thought it was a good move by Lane. The entire offensive staff he sent back to go coach the game in the playoffs
Very,
and go
very,
win a national
very classy
championship.
move. Yes.
So I like that. And listen, I don't know, maybe Pete Golden is the right move, but I think you hit it right on the head. I think they did that to keep the team together.
Yeah.
It
It just seemed impulsive. I didn't do enough research on his resume to know if this is a guy that, has interviewed for a lot of head coaching jobs, has been up for a lot of head coaching jobs. I kind of felt like, he was the best of what they had. They had to name somebody, and they didn't want to have an interim coach for the playoffs. That I can understand.
How come? And it's probably because Lane's on social media. But, how come nobody's getting on these other guys? Nobody's getting on John Summerall, who's going to go coach Tulane in the playoff, for going to Florida. Nobody's getting on Chesney for going to UCLA. Now, Lane's on social media, and he's got that personality. But why is nobody on those guys?
That 100% blows my mind.
Me as well. I don't get it.
The athletic directors even said, I think the Tulane guy said, because he was asked about Summerall poaching players and getting people in the transfer portal. He's like, well, that happens everywhere. So, what are you going to do?
I mean, do you think he's not trying to steal players?
Of course
Summerall
he is.
Tulane talking to his guys to go to Florida. I think that one of the reasons has got to be because LSU and Ole Miss are kind of a rivalry. Like Tulane's not saying, well, geez, we're a big rivalry with Florida.
That's what the AD said. Yes. That's what the AD said. It's completely different because he's going into the SEC. He doesn't anticipate a lot of Tulane players going with Summerall there, but it's still very unusual because this guy has to pull double duty now.
Yep.
He's got to continue recruiting. He's got to put together a staff at Florida, and he's got to get ready for the transfer portal. And he's doing that while he's preparing Tulane for their playoff game. The same thing with Chesney. Chesney's going to UCLA.
100%.
UCLA has been a dumpster fire for a while. I mean, they are trying to get out of the agreement with the Rose Bowl right now. They want to play, I believe, in the Rams stadium.
Yep.
So it's just unusual to me that they would do that. I get it that maybe there's not going to be a mass exodus of transfers from JMU or Tulane going. I do question whether whether Lane Kiffin really did want to coach in the playoffs and was told no. That I would love to know because you hear him saying yes. You hear the athletic director saying yes, but he said no.
Yep.
You hear the player saying, no, we did not have that conversation. So I question that. I think he probably did want to coach in the playoffs. And I think he probably thought that he wouldn't get any pushback on it. And he was probably a little surprised that they said, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll never know, but I mean, it's like in the real world today, like with jobs. I mean, people leave jobs for promotions, for more resources, and people get fired from jobs. And, the players, I'm sure, are probably pissed off saying, our coach, our leader's leaving us right in the middle of a playoff run that we can win a national championship. And I get all that. But again, I go back to they've had the greatest run at Ole Miss in the history of that program since he's been there. Now, I think I might have told you this last week, and I know I said it on my other show. I think there's one other job I think Lane Kiffin leaves for. I don't think LSU is his final
You did
stop.
tell me this.
I
Yes.
still think if the Alabama job comes open, Steve, I still think he's a candidate for that job. I think that's the job he wants.
I do too.
Whether it's in 2 years or not, if Kalen DeBoer leaves, maybe, but if it's 3-4 years down the road, because listen, you got to be honest, he's got to go in and win a national championship, but he's got to make a run.
His time is running out. The sand is going through the hourglass. And you did say that last week, and I did a little research and read up on it. I can now with 100% certainty say that I agree with you. He will go to Alabama. If the Alabama job opens, he'll go. There's no doubt in my mind. That is what he wants. That is what he wants. He wants that Alabama job. So
I think DeBoer will be there another year. If they have a good year next year. But when you watch Alabama play and they keep showing, and I've said this, I love Kalen DeBoer. I think he's a great football coach. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look happy there. They lose a game and they want to throw him out. Now he's lost 3 games. Now, if he loses a playoff game, that's 4 losses. Next thing you're going to hear is, when's the last time an Alabama team lost 4 games?
The friend that I watched the game with Alabama Georgia was saying that he's going to get fired. He should get fired. I'm like, yeah, you're going to fire a guy that's won 10 games, really? He's like, it's Alabama.
Somebody will pick him up immediately.
I agree. He did a phenomenal job at Washington, and he came into probably the most difficult situation you could come into in college football, replacing Nick Saban.
Yep.
Come on now. So I hope that they give him 2 more years to get something going. I think that he can. I think that now that he's got his offensive coordinator back, I think that he'll get things going. But yeah, they're probably going to lose in that first round. I don't know that they'll get by Oklahoma unless they really have a come to Jesus moment after what happened and get hot. But as we saw last year, every team that got a bye lost.
Yeah.
So every team got a bye lost. So we don't know how that's going to go because it's so much time in between for those teams that have buys, from now until the time they play, that it's detrimental. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I think you're going to see a lot of these conference championship games. I think you're going to see them go away because they really don't mean anything anymore. You're going to see a lot of these bowl games. You're seeing the teams opt out now. I think you're going to see a lot of those games go away. I think you're going to see this thing go to 16 teams, and I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 to 3 years it's 24 teams.
24. I think it needs to be 24. That's what Division III does. Division I FCS, I think, is up to 21 or 22. But they just care about money. You want to make money? Cut the regular season down maybe to 11 games, 10 games, whatever, and make the playoffs longer with more teams. I think I would do that.
Yeah, 100%.
And, if Division III can figure it out, if FCS can figure it out, FBS can figure out how to do that. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, I had the pleasure of watching Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bevacqua, blames the ACC in a sustained targeted social media campaign against the football school team late in the season that forever changed the relationship between Notre Dame and the league.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they were promoting Miami for the playoff inclusion, and they damaged Notre Dame because they lost the season opener. Miami gets in. Notre Dame dropped from 9 to 11 in the final standings and was left out. And they're not playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That's their hill to die on. They're boycotting the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and they're ending their season at 10-2. They have an agreement with the ACC. I believe it's to play 5 teams. Is it 5 or 7 teams they're supposed to play a year? But they're in the ACC for every other sport in the conference. And football, again, they're like I say, they're half pregnant. They're in, but they're not really in. They'll play some teams, but they're still an independent, so they get to choose their opponents. I thought that press conference was embarrassing. I thought Notre Dame. Listen, I don't like Notre Dame. I thought that it made Notre Dame look petty. I thought that it made them look very, very bitter. And it just, Notre Dame is one of the most prestigious universities in the country. And I thought that it made them look very, very petty. Then he goes on the Dan Patrick show, and he again says some of the same things. He thought that the ACC attacked them. They're their partner in football, and they're a member of their conference in 24 of their other sports. And you think the ACC is going to have it out for you and attack you because they played replays of the Miami Notre Dame game during the season and social media posts. And the one he goes with is no hypotheticals, just fact. Team A, Miami. Team B, Notre Dame. And they posted the stats. Wins against top 25 teams. Wins against top 25. Yeah, three top 25 wins. The previous teams that were ranked, they had 4 wins against top 25 teams. Was Miami. Notre Dame had 1 win against the top 25 team, and 1 win against a team that was ranked in the top 25, which was Pitt, who lost out. And the strength of schedule. Now the strength of schedule was higher. Notre Dame had a higher strength of schedule than Miami. But do you really believe that the conference had it out for Notre Dame and went on a social media campaign?
No. They should go back and watch the interview Clark Lee had, the head coach at Vanderbilt, when Clark Lee came out and said, listen, we got to play better. We need to play better. We let a couple games get away from us that we shouldn't have let get away. We're going to go finish this season off the right way. They're going to go play in a bowl game. Like that's how it should have happened. Like, I get Notre Dame's upset. I completely get it. You look at the 10-game win streak that they went on, they really didn't beat anybody over 500. And like you just threw out the stats and they were really close. Again, the only problem I had with the committee in Notre Dame and Miami is people are going to argue and say Notre Dame and Miami, Notre Dame was ahead of them all year. They both didn't play. They both didn't play. And now all of a sudden Miami jumps them and the committee says, we wanted to see how the season finished when everything was completed. Well, Notre Dame and Miami seasons were both completed.
We're already done.
And one jumped over the other. So I can see that argument. I love Marcus Freeman, and he's an Ohio State guy. I don't know if the players went to the AD and said, listen, we're not doing it. We're going to get ready for the NFL draft. A lot of those players. I would have loved to see Notre Dame and BYU. Let's go play it. Let's go play one more and show the committee they made a mistake.
I agree. I agree.
That's the way I would tackle it. But again, I get it. A lot of these big teams aren't playing in these big bowl games. I mean, you're getting down to 5 and 7 teams declining bowl invites because nobody wants to play in some of these bowl games. How crazy is that?
No, I mean, when you and I were in college, a bowl game would have been a dream come true.
We loved
Absolutely. That was everyone's goal. Now teams are very happy to say no. And you're right. They're having to move down to the 5 and 7 teams because the 6 and 6 teams are declining. Iowa State, Kansas State, both declined. Iowa State, I think, had 8 wins, because their coach left. And most teams lose money from going to a bowl game. Typically it was a reward for having a good season. You get to go play in a bowl game. You get to go somewhere nice. But athletic departments lose money because they have to purchase a certain amount of tickets, 10, 15,000, whatever, and sell them. They don't make money on them. They lose. And now for the kids, if you're not making the playoffs, it's a glorified exhibition game. And that's why teams opt out. That's why our players opt out. That's why you're seeing now teams opt out. I never thought it would be to this level. I mean, this is a level I never expected, but it shows the system is broken. I do think, like you said, next year, go to the 16 teams, have limited bowl games, make them big. ESPN is just doing it for content throughout December so they can have something every day of the week.
Don't be surprised. And I don't know what Marcus Freeman, I don't know what he's thinking behind the scenes. If he had any say in this, we don't really know.
I don't think he did.
Don't be surprised if he says to himself, I mean, he's got a really good job at Notre Dame, right? Don't be surprised, though, if he says, if we don't get into a conference, we just finished 10-2. We're Notre Dame, one of the most prestigious universities in the entire country. What if the NFL comes calling?
I think they will. I think
he's got to give it a look, right?
Yeah, I think he'll get an opportunity for the NFL. He got thrust into the job during a playoff run when Brian Kelly leaves in the middle of the night to go to LSU.
Yep.
He takes him to a national championship game. He's a young guy. He's brilliant. He's got a good mind. He's a good recruiter. Can he coach in the NFL? Will he be respected in the NFL? I think 100% he would be. And I know he was mentioned when the Bears job had been open. I think it was Matt Rule got fired. I think for sure he'd be a great NFL coach. And I hope
Big Ten, man, put Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
They're going to have to. If this doesn't change their mind about being in a conference, then nothing will. Because for them, really, to make the playoffs, the rule was they had to be in the top 5, I believe, and they would be in the playoffs. Now they changed the rule. If Notre Dame is ranked in the top 12, they will get in. The NCAA just changed the rule overnight to appease Notre Dame. So it's going to be interesting to see. The last thing I wanted to ask you, I had read an article and I wanted to get your input. College athletic directors are because of NIL, because of the money that's being spent, they're continuing to talk about maybe collective bargaining agreements, maybe making players employees, because it's been frustrating to bring stability to college sports overall. And college ADs are trying to explore once unthinkable options. And one of them was collective bargaining with the players. Because, maybe they come to an agreement on payment for players. Maybe you get this much as a freshman, this much as a sophomore, junior, senior, incentivize it for them to stay. Maybe it controls some of the spending where you don't see, a Texas Tech have to spend a fortune to get a great team. The House versus NCAA settlement is still kind of being sorted out for how they're going to pay the players, because it goes back to 2016. It backdates. And it's funny because I had one of my old coaches say everyone should get paid from the 1980s on. And I was like, Coach, it's like, I don't know if that can be done. I don't know how retroactively
We'll
you
take
can
some of that, right? I wish I had NIL in high school when I played. I would have got some money out of high school.
I told him I got money from the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit because I was in the college football game for 4 years. I got money for that, and I got money for being in Madden for 2 years for the NFL Europe teams. But yeah, they're talking about it. I think that the House, the settlement, Congress putting together the SCORE Act, trying to regulate NIL and make it so teams can't pay a fortune. They have to pay market value for these players to try to bring some stability to it.
It's
I
the
don't
NFL.
know if it will work.
It's turned into the NFL. It's basically what it is.
It is. It's pro football. It is. It's free agency, and you're 100% right. It is the NFL. The college football, they have an antitrust exemption. They've had it forever. And maybe they need to go to a CBA. Maybe they need to unionize, and maybe that will stabilize, some of the spending, because it's only going to get worse and worse. Next year, it's going to be $22 or $23 million athletic departments can spend. Lane Kiffin, when he interviewed, his question was, how much money am I going to get to spend? What am I getting for NIL? He didn't care about anything else. Nope. He wanted to know what he was getting. And that is what moved the needle.
Steve, these ADs now, to me, they don't even really need to be a sports person anymore. They need to be a business person. No. They have to be able to run a business now. Then, back in the day, it was you needed a lot of athletic experience to run a big athletic department and so forth. And now it's like, number one, the AD's got to hit a home run on the football coach. Because if you don't hit a home run on the football coach and you fail hiring the coach that you hired, you're probably out of a job as an AD. But again, these guys now, they got to be really smart businessmen, and they got to know how to handle money and budget money and pick, where do I put my expenses? Where do I put them? And it wasn't 100%. Like that years ago.
No, 100%. You're 100% right. It's a completely different ball game. Your athletic director doesn't need sports experience. They need to be someone that is a CEO of a Fortune 500 company that can balance a budget and manage the money 100%. And allocate it properly. I do 100% agree with you. So just going through this it's December 20th, James Madison, Oregon. We both like Oregon, correct?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Alabama, Oklahoma, December 19th. Who do you like for that? It's going to be at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma. I don't think Alabama, as I said, they haven't played well the last 3-4 weeks. I like Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm going to take Oklahoma as well. I'm kind of down on Alabama. Tulane, Ole Miss. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Ole Miss is quite a big favorite, and then you have Miami and A&M. I mean, that's the only real.
I'm not a big Miami fan, but I'm riding with the U, Steve. I know you're at A&M. You're going A&M. I'm going with the U.
Listen, I hope Miami wins. I would be thrilled if Miami won for the sake of the ACC and for the season they had. I do hope they win. A&M, with the way they looked against Texas, they definitely look beatable, but they have been exceptional all year. I do believe A&M will win and cover the spread. But yeah, we'll keep talking and see what moves are made in the next few weeks. I think there's going to be a lot that happens.
Should be fun.
Let me see.
You're popular, man. I'm looking at some of the comments.
I know,
You're
I'm
a popular
seeing the comments
guy.
now. Yeah, I'm a popular guy. Yeah, it's people who just watch too many podcasts. But yeah, thank you for your analysis. I think we had an interesting championship week. I think we got it right. It's going to be fun to see the playoffs get started. It's going to be fun to watch the FCS continue to go after North Dakota State lost. That was huge. So I'm excited for that. This is the best time of the year. So I'm excited, and we'll continue to talk about it. So let me just get
Sounds
this
good, man. Appreciate it.
for the man himself, Rocky Corigliano, the Rock Pile. Rock, when I know you have shows. When are your shows typically? Just so I can put them over.
So I'll run we have a college football show on Thursday night with some of the local coaches in this area.
Yes, that's what I saw. Okay.
And then Sunday mornings, usually from 9 to 10, I run a local show called the Mohawk Valley Sports Watch. That I believe we'll be back on this weekend. But usually on Sundays is the local one, and during the week we'll do a couple football shows.
Okay. And I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. But yes, again, great job. I appreciate having you and your analysis. And this is Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life, unless you're Notre Dame. Down south, we have Julius Williams and the Trench Mob. Julius trains offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments across the country and also go to college showcase camps. Proud to say they were undefeated at every tournament they attended. Every college showcase camp, a member of the Trench Mob was offered a college scholarship. He's in Decatur, Georgia. If you want to work with the best, work with the Trench Mob, www.battleofthetrenches.com. We have Ned Von Young, Freshfold Laundry Company, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, high-end laundry service. They have you book online. You put your laundry out in a clear plastic bag. They pick it up, wash, dry, fold it for you at Land Speed Records. And they also have an online subscription model, weekly or bi-weekly. They offer now a pickup and delivery service, so you can have your laundry done without leaving the comfort of your own home. Again, washed, dried, and folded for you and returned to you within 48 hours. They also have an expedited service. They have deals for college students in the area as well. Check out their website, myfreshfold-laundry.com. We also have James Whitfield of Luther James Insurance. For the last 3 years, James has dedicated himself to the art of financial planning. He specializes in insurance policies, mainly life insurance. He will make you a boatload of money, and he will do so tax-free. He understands the stress that comes with retirement planning. How much do I need? For how long? Do we have enough? Because fear of the unknown is real. To connect with James, you can go to his website, www.lutherjamesinsurance.com. Finally, we have Rob Hill of R. Hill Enterprises, Inc. Rob is an accomplished author. He is a speaker, and he also is an insurance mastermind, along with being a minister. Rob will put you in the right insurance plan for you. He understands the constraints and the rules that go with insurance, but he makes sure that you ask the right questions so you get the right answers. His main objective is to pull people's heads out of the sand, because that is what we're dealing with currently. To connect with Rob, you can message him on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or go to his website, rhillenterprisesinc.com. Again, he also does speaking engagements. He is a phenomenal insurance agent out of Chicago, Illinois, and you should contact him for any advice, even if you don't want to work with him.